I am 95 years old, and I'm going to tell you something that will hurt. Right now, in front of me, there's a teacup sitting on a windowsill, cracked right down the middle. Not broken enough to throw away, but too broken to ever really hold anything the way it should. Steam is still curling off the top because I poured tea into it 6 minutes ago. Earl Grey, same as every morning. Same as every morning for the last 61 years. The kitchen smells like dust and bergamot. The wallpaper behind me is peeling at the corners. Been peeling for 3 years now. Nobody's coming to fix it. There's a clock on the wall. And I swear to you, the ticking is so loud some mornings, it sounds like someone knocking. And every time, every single time, my heart jumps. Maybe someone's at the door. Maybe someone remembered. Nobody's at the door. There's a chair across from me, wooden, worn smooth on the armrests from decades of the same hands gripping the same spots. Harold's chair. He sat there every morning from 1962 until the morning he didn't. And now that chair just sits there, empty, staring at me like a question I can't answer. I made 2 cups of tea this morning. I always make 2. One for me, one for a ghost. And I will sit here in this kitchen that used to be full of noise and laughter and the smell of bacon. And I will drink mine alone while his goes cold. Don't you dare look away from me. I know you want to. I know this is uncomfortable. Good. Let it be uncomfortable. Because this right here, this silent kitchen, this cracked cup, this empty chair, this is your future if you don't listen to what I'm about to tell you. I believed a lie my entire life. And it cost me everything. The lie was simple, beautiful even. It sounded like wisdom, like virtue, like the kind of thing they'd stitch onto a pillow and hang in your grandmother's hallway. The lie was this: if you give everything to the people you love, they will never leave you. If you sacrifice, if you serve, if you pour yourself out like water for everyone around you, they will hold you sacred. They will remember. They will come back. I believe that with every cell in my body. I was 23 when I married Harold. I was pretty then, had a laugh that could fill a room, or so he told me. I had dreams, too. I wanted to be a teacher, wanted to stand in front of a classroom and watch children's eyes light up when something clicked. But Harold got a job at the plant, and then the babies came. 4 of them, one right after the other, like the Lord was in a hurry. So I ironed shirts at 5 in the morning. I packed lunches with little handwritten notes tucked inside. You're braver than you think, sweetheart. Make Mama proud today. I sat at holiday tables and didn't speak because everyone else had something more important to say. I learned to eat last. I learned to cry in the bathroom with the faucet running so nobody would hear. I raised 4 children who never once saw their mother fall apart. I hosted Thanksgiving for 37 years straight. 37. I woke up at 4 in the morning, seasoned the turkey in the dark, set the table for 14, sometimes 18. I did the dishes alone every single time, while everyone else fell asleep watching football in the living room. The sound of laughter always drifted in from the other room, and I stood at that sink with pruned fingers and a tired back, and I smiled, because I thought that laughter was my reward. I thought I was building something. I thought every meal I cooked, every shirt I pressed, every tear I swallowed was a deposit into some kind of sacred account. And one day when I needed it, all that love would come back to me with interest. I took care of Harold's mother for 6 years when she got sick, bathed her, fed her, changed her sheets at 2 in the morning. I put my own life in a drawer and closed it. My friends slowly stopped calling. My sister said I'd become boring. My world got smaller and smaller, until it was just this house, these walls, this kitchen. And I told myself that was fine. That was noble. That's what good women do. I was wrong. Harold died on a Tuesday. I need you to understand what that morning was like, because I have replayed it 10,000 times, and it never changes. It was October, early. The bedroom was cold because Harold always liked the window cracked at night. Said he couldn't breathe without fresh air. I could see my own breath when I woke up. The light was gray, the kind of gray that doesn't commit to being morning yet. Thin, pale, like the sky hadn't made up its mind. I went to the kitchen first, same as always. Put the kettle on. Got 2 cups down from the shelf. The cracked one was his. Had been his for 20 years. I told him 100 times to let me throw it out. And he'd say, "It still holds tea, doesn't it? That's good enough for me." So I poured his Earl Grey into that cracked cup, and I poured mine into the blue one, and I put them both on the little wooden tray with 2 pieces of toast, and I walked back to the bedroom. He was sitting up in bed, smiling. He looked at me the way he always did, like I was still that 23-year-old girl in the yellow dress. He said, "There she is." Just like that. There she is. Like I was a sunrise. I handed him the cup. He took a sip. He started telling me about a dream he'd had, something about fishing with his brother on a lake that doesn't exist. And halfway through the sentence, he stopped. Not a dramatic stop, not a gasp or a clutch at his chest like you see in the movies. He just stopped, like someone pressed pause. The teacup slipped from his fingers. I can still hear it, porcelain hitting hardwood. It didn't shatter, it just cracked deeper and rolled in a half circle, and the tea bled out across the floor like a small amber wound. The stain is still there, under the rug I put down, because I couldn't bear to look at it anymore, but I couldn't bear to clean it either. I touched his hand. It was already different, already not his. The warmth was leaving so fast, like it had somewhere else to be. I don't know how long I sat there before I called someone. Maybe 20 minutes. Maybe an hour. Time doesn't work right when the world breaks. I called my oldest son first. He didn't answer. I called my daughter, and she picked up on the 4th ring and said, "Can I call you back, Mom? I'm in a meeting." I said, "Your father is dead." Silence. Then she said she'd try to get a flight by Thursday. Try. I called my other 2 sons. One sent flowers, white lilies. I don't even know if he picked them himself or if his wife did. The other one called me back that evening and talked for 6 minutes. I counted. The funeral was on a Friday. 8 people came. 8. Harold had worked at that plant for 34 years. We'd had neighbors for decades. I'd cooked meals for half the town when their families were sick. 8 people. And I sat in that front pew, surrounded by the smell of lilies and wood polish and cold stone. And I looked around the room and realized something that nearly killed me right there on the spot. I could not name a single person in that room who truly knew me. Not one. They knew Harold's wife. They knew the woman who brought casseroles. They knew the quiet one who smiled and nodded and never complained. But me, my favorite song, my biggest fear, the dream I buried at 23, not one of them knew. Halfway through the service, I reached over to the armrest where Harold always sat. My hand went there by itself, the way it had for 61 years. And all I felt was cold wood, smooth, hard, empty wood. That is loneliness, not the poetic kind, not the kind they write songs about, the kind that is physical, the kind that sits in your chest like a stone and doesn't move. After the service, I stood in the driveway and watched the last car pull away, brake lights disappearing around the corner, and then silence. The kind of silence that doesn't end. That was 11 months ago. I still make 2 cups of tea every morning. I know how that sounds. I know you might think it's sweet, some lovely little ritual of remembrance. It's not. It's madness. It's punishment. I boil the water. I pour his cup. I set it on the windowsill in front of that cracked teacup. And I watch the steam rise and thin and vanish. And I know that the warmth will leave that cup the same way it left his hand. Slowly, then all at once, and no one will be here to notice. The crack in that cup has gotten wider. I can see it spreading just a little more every week. I won't replace it. I can't, because that cup is me. Still here, still holding something warm inside, but broken, and nobody's reaching for it. The house is so quiet, I can hear the refrigerator humming from 2 rooms away. I can hear the floorboards settling at night, like the house is sighing, tired of standing. I can hear my own breathing, and some nights that sound is the loneliest thing in the world, because it means I'm still here and still alone. The phone rings once a month. It's my granddaughter, Ellie. Sweet girl. She calls, and I can hear it in her voice. The obligation, the checking of a box. 4 minutes, sometimes 5. How are you, Grandma? Fine, sweetheart. Okay, well, I just wanted to check in. Click. I've memorized the ceiling in my bedroom. Every crack, every water stain, every shadow that moves when the light changes in the afternoon. I talk to Harold's chair sometimes. I tell it about my day, which is the same as every day. I tell it I'm angry, not at him, at myself, for believing that being invisible was the same as being indispensable. It wasn't. It was just being invisible. The house smells like lavender soap and stale air, and the metallic bite of the pills I take every morning to keep a heart beating that nobody listens to. And that teacup sits on the windowsill, warm and full, and waiting for hands that will never come. Now I'm going to talk to you. Yes, you. The one watching this right now. Probably on your phone. Probably half distracted. Probably thinking, this is sad, but it doesn't apply to you. It does. Sit up. Listen. You are doing what I did. Maybe not the same way, but the same lie. You're being the strong one, the reliable one, the one who never asks for anything. You're pouring yourself into your kids, your partner, your job, your friends, and you're telling yourself it matters, that they see you, that they'll remember. They won't. Not unless you make them. Stop being the silent backbone of everyone's life, and then wondering why no one notices when you break. Speak. Be loud. Be selfish for once in your life. Be inconvenient. Tell people what you need. Tell them while they can still hear you. And if you have a mother, a father, a grandparent sitting alone in a house that's too quiet, call them. Not because they asked, not because it's a holiday. Call them because one day you will dial that number and no one will answer. And you will have to live with that silence for the rest of your life. You think you have time? Harold had time. Harold had all the time in the world on a Tuesday morning. And then he didn't. Just like that, mid-sentence, mid-laugh, gone. You are not promised tomorrow. You are not promised this evening. The people you love are not promised the next breath. This teacup in front of me is still warm. Feel that. Let it sink in. The tea is still warm. The chair is still empty. And I am still here, waiting for someone who is not coming. Your people are still alive. Your mother is still breathing. Your grandmother is still sitting by a window somewhere, wondering if the phone will ring. What is your excuse?